In today's episode of Esports Analysis, we're hopping back on board with Formal as he, R-City's Envoy, Scump, and Gunless, for the first time that I'm doing my review, take on the Minnesota ROKKR and assault GODRX, Silly, Asim, and Alex. Now, before we get into this one, just a little side note here. I was really excited to watch these guys for the first time. I've been looking for Minnesota ROKKR scrims, and I just really haven't been able to find them. And the whole reason why I'm excited for this is because I think by far this is the coolest branding. So this Viking helmet they have, the blue and the purple and the black and how it mixes together. I know this is totally off base from actually explaining what's going on in the match, but their branding, I just love it. So I was really excited to go ahead and break down a scrim of theirs. With all of that being said, let's go ahead, let's get into the breakdown a little bit. So anybody that's new to my videos, in the bottom right hand corner, I have a map overview of Rammaza and the hardpoint rotations. You'll also see a faint green box and a faint red box that represents where you want to be spawning in the current hardpoint. So right now they're battling for one. You can see on screen there's about 12 seconds left. And right now Chicago actually started with that green spawn that you want to have, but they ended up getting flipped. And the whole reason why you want to be spawning here, because in the top of your screen, as we go ahead and we rotate to the second hardpoint in the bottom right hand corner of your screen, you can now see that the next hardpoint went ahead, and it's basically in that same back building where you were spawning previously as you were trying to rush into construction for the first hardpoint. If we're talking about strategy here, there's really two different sides of this hardpoint you can spawn on. So one of the biggest things is that if you're spawning in construction, what that does is it forces your enemy team, so the other team, to spawn by ammo. So if you look in that bottom right hand map overview, right between 2 and right between 5, that's what's considered ammo. So the whole problem with that is that if you're spawning on that side, this gives you that one choke point you have to push through. So it's really hard to get from the ammo spawn into that hard point. And then just to elaborate on this just a little bit quicker, if you're spawning on the other side, say that you're spawning ammo and you have control of the hard point, it's still even hard to hold the choke point on the other side, on construction side, because if you're spawning top construction and the enemy team has that back hard point, then it's really hard for them to kill you up there because you have all those available head glitches and they don't. Now, as we go ahead and we rotate into the third hardpoint here, you can see that the favorable side for spawns has went ahead and switched. So for this map, you want to go ahead and you want to make sure that you're spawning exactly where Formal spawned right there. So you want to hold down pillars, you want to hold down the middle of the map, and if you can, you want to push up into rugs. Now, right here is a fairly large turning point for this hill in specific. You can see that Formal dies, and in the kill cam, you can see that 2 or 3 end up pushing through that back spawn over there. And then when Formal comes back up, he now spawns out. If you look at control of the hardpoint, they no longer have control of the hardpoint, so now they're trying to work back into it. So this is one where you should send a couple people left, a couple people right, one person watching the middle, but this should be one that's fairly hard to break. And ROKKR went ahead and they were able to break this one fairly easily. So this is what's considered a pretty critical loss in terms of if you're keeping track hardpoint by hardpoint. Here in about 10 seconds or so, we're going to go ahead, we're going to rotate into that fourth hardpoint. One of the great things about this map is you can see that the hardpoint locations continue to ping pong, left side of the map, right side of the map, left side of the map, right side of the map. They just keep going back and forth, and that makes for a really entertaining game, and that also makes for a game in which is usually pretty close. So like if you're looking at the score in the bottom left hand corner, it's 120 to 53, but since Huntsmen went ahead and they have this spawn, since they were spawning out on number 3, they're going to go ahead and they're going to hold the majority of this side down. So if you look at the minimap in the top left, you can see that they're really looking at dirt, which is on the first floor underneath this catwalk, and they're looking at top rugs here. Now a couple people end up running through that front door. Not a big deal. They end up trading these out and they end up maintaining this time, but this is a hard point that's extremely hard to break. If we take a look at the top middle of your screen, you can see that there are 20 seconds left. The rest of those 20 seconds are a foregone conclusion. So by the end of that hill, it's going to end up being about 120 to 100. So ROKKR's going to have about a 20-point lead, but this is what you can see right here. The fifth hardpoint is in this broken construction building here. And even though there are a couple people that goes down, like Envoy goes down right there and Formal's hurt, but still, even though there are a couple people down, right now ROKKR might have control of the hill, but what they don't have is control of the spawns. So we just saw Envoy die, and right now he's just jumping into the hardpoint right there. So you can easily see who has control of these back spawns. Formal comes up, there's a couple more blue arrows behind him. So while they're having a little bit of an issue getting going into, so actually getting into the hardpoint, they definitely have the spawns, which means that this hardpoint isn't going to get too far away from them. Even though it looks a little murky, a little muddy right now, it's really hard to keep a pro team that has spawns out of the current hill. So right here, they end up taking it over. Now, I think there's a little bit of a misplay here. So Formal goes down, Seth goes down in hill, and then whoever else, that looks like Gunless was also in hill. Now, instead of getting these last 15 seconds or so, they end up selling out because this is going to go back to that right side crosswalk hill. And essentially what they have to do is they have to flip spawns here. So right now they're spawning on the bad side. They want to go ahead and flip this so that they're spawning on construction side so that they're set up for the second hard point. So they left that a little bit early. I felt like they probably let about 15 points go there where they had spawns. They easily could have got into that fifth hard point and got about 15 of those points back. And sometimes, especially in games like this, 5 or 10 points can be all the difference. So if I was a coach of Chicago, I just want to make sure that they're rotating so that they're taking advantage of all of that time. But with that, normally for these second rotations, I like to go ahead and I like to hop into a listen in at least for a hill or two so that you can look at their communication and see what they're talking about as they're trying to rotate spawns and from hill to hill. So with that, let's go ahead, let's hop into a listen in and pay close attention to what they're talking about, especially in terms of spawns.
GODRX, dude.
GODRX dead.
I have help in the back.
Yeah, I have a smoke. So.
I flash back right. He's back fan.
He's on the wall too, on half wall.
All good.
I'll see half wall.
Alright, how do you guys want to break this?
Dude, under
You wanna go front?
Yeah, hookah one shot.
GODRX.
Hookah
I
one
don't
shot.
think I've ever seen anybody just
I swear to God, I'm shooting him
instinctively
and
ego
and
challenge.
just not getting hit markers.
Kill that guy.
Bottom
One
hookah,
shot back,
bullet,
one shot back, one shot back dub.
Bottom mid ace him.
Go bottom
Good
mid,
dead,
good
good
job.
I killed the guy back. I killed the guy in the back. You guys can push that.
He loves it.
Got him, got him, got him.
I'm gonna hold sandbags. I'm gonna hold sandbags.
Fine.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
just
go,
bait
go,
me,
go,
dude.
go.
Coming back door, back
Got
door.
him.
Crossing
Back door,
dub.
back door.
Close, dead.
Good
Nice,
We're
job.
dub.
one more hill, one more hill.
Ah,
You
man.
guys just gotta kill one guy. Kill one guy. Kill that one guy, bro.
Dead.
Thank
Trade
you.
Back dub spawn.
20 seconds. We're coming.
Wee, back dub.
Last shot.
Got him out.
Dead,
Alright.
dead. One more
You guys
right,
spawn
right,
in the
right.
back? You spawn in the back?
Killed
Yeah,
him.
we did now.
Try to call that out faster.
My fault, dude. I was still losing.
Front one,
Yeah,
March
you're
is right
good.
here. Front, bro.
Yeah, he's front. Front.
Front dead.
Top.
More front. In the alley, silly.
Team alley.
push
Try to
that
get
ammo?
ahead of you if you can.
I'm getting top rugs, guys. I'm getting top rugs.
Yep.
There's still an alley on me.
Just to go ahead and hop back in for just a quick second, you can see that Chicago did a really good job of flipping spawns for that second hard point. Now, unfortunately, they're behind the ball going into this third one. So, yeah, they flipped spawns for number 2, but now they're spawning out for number 3. Let's see if they can go ahead and make that up. Let's hop back into a listen in.
More pillars.
Pitch ladder.
Ladder.
Ladder,
Ladder.
ladder.
Nice. One more was back
I'm gonna wait
right.
for you guys to
I'm working
spawn.
right with you.
Perfect.
Right.
I
Thank
can't
you.
see shit, bro.
I spawned here. I'm going ladder. I'm going ladder,
One
guys.
shot,
There's so many
silly
goddamn
three-door,
smokes,
dude.
bro.
Going ladder. Hang on. Under ladder, guys. Under ladder.
Push bottom back
One
alley.
shot.
Under ladder. With the hill. I'm knitting hill.
Trying to hold top rug
I
right
don't see
now.
under
He
ladder.
just pushed me under
Bottom
ladder.
hookah, bottom hookah.
Front door hill dead. One more back door hill.
I'm looking at it, looking at it.
Hey, he's top rugs dead.
Hill dead.
Where's bottom middle? Bottom middle.
Nice.
Top rugs. Top rugs. Top rugs. Top
I
rugs.
spawn arch.
Trying to get that
Silly.
Spawn arch.
One more's bottom middle
One
too.
back.
Bottom middle. Bottom hookah somewhere.
What's up?
Go to new Pierce. You can leave too. You can leave too.
There's probably one
Hookah
tree door or
got me.
something. Yeah, he's probably tree. I'm gonna clear tree door for you.
We're good, dead.
One bullet on new. GODRX.
He hit our
Yo, let's go. Let's go rugs. Let's go
Sandbag,
rugs.
sandbag, Justin.
It's all good. It's all good. Let's put rugs.
Close
Let's put
rugs. Close
We're good, we're
rugs.
good.
He's doing
Let's put
top
rugs.
Trying to
rugs.
get mid
Top
flat.
rugs. Top rugs.
So again, they started this hill without spawns. They went ahead, they slayed out, they got spawns. At the end of this hill, this is going to be just about a tie game. Chicago's going to have a little bit of a lead, but now they're fighting the same battle again. Yes, they retook that last hill, but now they're spawning out for current hill. Let's see what happens.
Salute.
One bullet here. I'm trying
I
to
think
get.
third story. I
I
think
think
third
I got
story.
one dirt.
He's dirt.
Dead.
Got one paint.
Got me. Sandbag.
Sandbags.
Wait, there's only one on hill.
Hey, only one on
I got him. I got him.
Good
I think
job,
one's dirt
perfect.
door. I think one's
I got
dirt
one.
Back door. Get time. I have back door push.
Backside hill, backside hill.
You can go top third. I'm trying to
Other
pick
one
up
got me
third.
sandbags.
Watch my front. Watch the front, guys. Watch
I
the
have
front.
your front.
Yeah,
Yo, top third.
Yeah, I just have.
Back door. Back door.
Really far.
Back door,
I
back door,
literally
back door.
Can't even help.
I'm flooding. I'm flooding.
Flood dead. One more
I'm
back
gonna
bottom.
flood this
Someone
whole
got me
You guys
front,
play
got me
new.
front, GODRX.
It's play new spawn.
Yep.
Front door dead.
Come on, dude.
Front door, front door.
Front door one hill. Front door
Two
hill.
They
front
smoked
doors,
out
two
Another
front
one
doors.
hill. Another one hill.
I got one more plat. Plat to ladder. First guy ladder. First guy ladder.
I
First
just
guy ladder.
spawned here on
Alright,
new.
you guys
First
spawn
guy ladder.
out.
You guys
I
heard?
don't know
First guy
where
ladder.
they
Got me,
came
bro.
from.
Let's go. Get close guy.
I pushed that
There's
ammo.
gonna be more here. There's gonna be more here, guys. Someone come back. Only play two front.
Oh, shit,
Pillars.
he's down here.
Pillars to the back. Pillars to
I'm
the back.
backing up. I'm backing up. I
Pitch
give up.
Another one.
Middle,
Nice,
both,
Alec. Good
both.
job.
Mid dead.
Shit,
Mid
Alec.
dead. I'm getting white hit markers.
I'm trying to help
Bro.
Alec, guys. I'm trying to help Alec, guys. When the smoke just ran straight through it, I have time.
I got
You
time.
get time? Okay.
Playing rugs
Yeah,
I'm
I got
helping
it,
Alec.
I got it.
Hang on.
Alright guys, so just to go ahead and finish out this gameplay here, RC's just got 2 massive kills at pillars there, and that's what's going to go ahead and they're going to lock down the middle of the map here. So Formal's helping them out, but as you can see, the 3 SMGs on the left side of the map are spawning at ammo, so they're covering that front, and since the 2 people died trying to go pillars through the middle of the map, so since Formal and RC's were watching the middle of the map, right now there's only about 9 seconds left, 7 seconds left, and they know that they have to flood as fast as they can. So since they're getting that spawn, they're trying to do whatever they can to get into the hill. Somebody tries to sneak through the middle there. Formal gets a massive 2-piece, and that's the end of this one. So really fun game to watch there. I enjoyed watching ROKKR a lot. I'm actually looking forward to seeing them a little bit more, especially since the kickoff weekend is in their backyard. So that should be really fun to watch for competitive Call of Duty. But with that, if you're new around here, that's the first time you've tuned into one of my videos, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. My channel's been growing unlike it's ever grown before, so I appreciate that so much. Don't forget to leave a like before you head on your way. And with that, I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.